Welcome to our journey through ancient ingenuity, where we explore some of the most fascinating inventions of early civilizations. We'll dive into the remarkable technologies that shaped our world, discover how these ancient marvels showcase human creativity and problem-solving. Join us as we unravel the stories behind these incredible innovations that continue to inspire and amaze us today. Number 1. Hydraulic system at Temple of Edfu. The Temple of Edfu is a hidden gem that predates even the grand Egyptian pyramids and showcases the incredible ingenuity of early engineers. Picture this: long before modern plumbing, ancient civilizations were already mastering the art of water management. This hydraulic system, discovered beneath the Temple of Edfu, reveals a network of channels and pipes that efficiently manage water flow. These early engineers devised a way to transport and store water, ensuring a steady supply for various needs, from irrigation to daily household use. It's like finding an ancient underground water park. The system's design is a testament to their understanding of hydraulics and engineering. With gravity as their ally, they directed water flow seamlessly, showing off their sophisticated techniques. This ancient invention not only highlights their practical skills, but also their ability to solve everyday problems creatively. This might pop into your mind the next time you turn on your tap at home. Number 2. Archimedes Screw. In essence, the Archimedes Screw is a giant, ancient corkscrew, not for wine, but for water. Despite having no ancient remains of this contraption, this brilliant invention by the legendary Greek mathematician Archimedes is still in use today. The Archimedes Screw is an ingenious device designed to move water uphill. Picture a large screw encased in a tube. When you turn the screw, water gets caught in the threads and is lifted up the tube, defying gravity. It was a game changer for irrigation, enabling farmers to water their crops efficiently. Though we don't have any original screws from Archimedes' time, the concept has survived and thrived. Modern versions are still used worldwide, from irrigation systems to sewage treatment plants and even in chocolate fountains. It is a testament to Archimedes' timeless ingenuity that something dreamed up over 2,000 years ago has still found its way into modern technology. Number 3. Antira Mechanism. If you were to find this rusty box, you probably wouldn't give it a second look, but that's the Antira Mechanism, a Greek marvel from around 100 BC, found in a shipwreck off the coast of the Antira Island in 1901. This gizmo looks like a jumble of gears and dials, but it's actually a sophisticated device used to predict astronomical events like eclipses and planetary movements. It's as if it's an ancient Greek version of a GPS. The mechanism is so advanced that it took modern scientists years to fully understand its complexity. Like a Swiss watch of the ancient world, it has over 30 intricate gears. It could track the positions of the sun and moon and even the timing of the Olympic Games. It's mind-blowing to realize that such technology existed over 2,000 years ago. Today, replicas of the Antira Mechanism can be found in museums. Number 4. Water clock. Imagine trying to tell time with a bowl of water. Sounds tricky, right? But that's exactly how the ancient Greeks and Egyptians did it with their nifty invention called the clepsydra, or water clock. The clepsydra was essentially an ancient timepiece that worked by measuring the flow of water. In a container with a small hole at the bottom, water drips out at a consistent rate. And as the water level drops, markings on the inside of the container show the passage of time. It's like an ancient, liquid hourglass. These water clocks were surprisingly accurate for their time. They were used in courts to limit the length of speeches. They helped astronomers and priests keep track of time during religious ceremonies and astronomical observations. Though we might not use water clocks to time our Zoom meetings today, the clepsydra's influence is still evident, and its ingenuity is still impressive. Number 5. Vitruvian watermill. Vitruvian watermill reminds me of a giant hamster wheel, but instead of powering a furry friend, it's grinding grain into flour. This ancient Roman invention was used for turning the power of flowing water into mechanical energy. Designed by the Roman architect Vitruvius, this watermill was a game-changer for ancient societies. The concept was simple, yet genius. A river's current would turn a large water wheel, which in turn rotated a series of gears and grinding stones. This clever setup could crush grain, making flour production faster and less labor-intensive. More bread for everyone. What's even more impressive is that this invention laid the groundwork for countless other water-powered machines throughout history. Though we don't have original blueprints from Vitruvius, we know his writings inspired many mills across the Roman Empire, boosting agriculture and industry. Number 6. Shadu. When we think of a seesaw, we picture kids having fun, but this ancient seesaw was used for lifting water out of a river. That's the Shadu, a clever invention from ancient Egypt that revolutionized irrigation. The Shadu is an example of simplicity at its best. A long pole balanced on a sturdy frame with a bucket on one end and a counterweight on the other. Farmers would dip the bucket into the river, then easily lift it and pour the water into irrigation channels, and you would have an instant watering system. This handy device allowed farmers to keep their crops hydrated even during dry spells. It's like having a manual, eco-friendly pump long before electric ones were a thing. The Shadoof wasn't just for Egypt either. Variations popped up in Mesopotamia, India, and China, showing how good ideas spread like wildfire. Number 7. Baghdad Battery. This ancient clay jar and is believed to be the world's oldest battery. That's the mystery of the Baghdad Battery, a curious artifact from around 250 BC. This ancient gadget consists of a clay pot, a copper tube, and an iron rod. Fill it with an acidic liquid like vinegar, and you have a simple electrochemical cell. Some speculate it was used for electroplating or perhaps some ancient form of shock therapy. Who knew the ancients were much into that? Though there's no definitive proof of its exact use, the Baghdad Battery poses many interesting questions. It's like finding an ancient toolkit for beginner electricians. Today, replicas and experiments show it can generate a small voltage, hinting at the ingenuity of its creators. So next time you charge your phone, be thankful that your battery doesn't look like this one. Number 8. Natian water channels. If you were to roam the arid deserts of ancient Petra and stumble upon an impressive network of water channels, chances are you would have found the ancient world of Nabateans. These master engineers turned one of the driest places on Earth into a thriving oasis. The Nabatean water channels were a marvel of ancient hydraulics. They carved channels, built dams, and crafted cisterns to capture and store precious rainwater. Think of it as an ancient desert plumbing system, ensuring every drop was put to good use. These channels not only supported agriculture, but also provided water for their bustling trade city of Petra. The system was so effective that it sustained large populations and lush gardens right in the heart of the desert. Number 9. Hanging Gardens of Babylon. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon is a lush, green paradise towering above the desert sands. This ancient wonder, often attributed to King Nebuchadnezzar II around 600 BC, is the stuff of legends. Imagine a multi-tiered garden filled with exotic plants, flowers, and cascading waterfalls, all seemingly suspended in mid-air. The gardens were said to be built to remind Nebuchadnezzar's homesick wife, Amytis, of her mountainous homeland. Number 10. Chinese seismograph. The Chinese seismograph, a marvel from 132 AD, created by the ingenious Zhang Heng, is an ancient device that could sense earthquakes long before seismographs or early warning apps. This ancient gadget looked like a decorative bronze urn, but it was much more than a fancy piece of decor. Around its rim were 8 dragons, each holding a bronze ball in its mouth. Below each dragon sat a bronze toad, eagerly waiting. When an earthquake struck, one of the dragons would release its ball into the mouth of the corresponding toad, indicating the direction of the quake. It's like an ancient version of a quake compass. Number 11. Inca kipo. Who knew you could make an ancient accounting system entirely out of strings and knots? These ingenious devices, known as kipo, were used by the Incas around 1400 AD as the original spreadsheets. A kipo consisted of a main cord with several hanging strings, each adorned with various knots. Each knot and string color had specific meanings, representing numbers, dates, and even census data. It's like an ancient, colorful abacus that you could wear around your neck. The kipo was used for everything from tracking agricultural inventories to recording historical events. Trained officials, known as kipukamayaks, could read the knots and decipher the encoded information. Despite the simplicity of strings and knots, the kipo was incredibly effective for the vast Inca Empire, which lacked a written language. It's a testament to their innovative spirit and problem-solving skills. Number 12. Roman Hypercoost system. The Roman Hypercoost system was the ancient version of central heating, keeping bathhouses and wealthy homes warm and snug. This ancient heating system worked by heating the floors from underneath. A furnace would be lit, and hot air would flow through a series of hollow spaces beneath the floors and within the walls. These spaces were supported by stacks of pillars called pili, creating a gap for the hot air to circulate. It's like walking on a giant underfloor heating pad. The Romans didn't stop there. They used this system to heat public bathhouses, ensuring that the caldarium, hot bath, was always the perfect temperature. It was a marvel of engineering, showcasing their understanding of heat distribution and architectural prowess. Despite being over 2,000 years old, the principles of the Hypercoost system still inspire modern heating systems. Number 13. Roman Catapult. Imagine the ancient battlefield with Roman soldiers ready to unleash their secret weapon, the catapult. These powerful machines were the Roman Empire's answer to heavy artillery, designed to launch projectiles with devastating force. Roman catapults came in a couple of fearsome varieties. The ballista was like a gigantic crossbow, using twisted ropes and sinew to store energy. When released, it could hurl large bolts or stones with pinpoint accuracy, making it perfect for taking out enemy troops or fortifications. Think of it as the ancient sniper rifle, silent but deadly. Then there was the onager, the beast of the artillery world. This machine used a single, powerful arm to fling heavy stones or even fireballs. Its name, meaning wild donkey, comes from the kickback it produced when fired. Picture a giant mechanical donkey kicking rocks at the enemy, both terrifying and impressive. The Romans, known for their engineering prowess, perfected these machines to dominate the battlefield. They combined precision, power, and a bit of theatrical flair to terrify their foes. Number 14. Egyptian surgery tools. The Egyptians were ahead of their time with their medical instruments, showing off some impressive early surgical skills. They had scalpels made of sharp obsidian, a type of volcanic glass that was both sharp and durable. Think of it as the ancient world's precision-cutting tool. Then there were forceps for extracting pesky objects like splinters, and saws for more serious bonework, not for the faint-hearted. They even had honey and moldy bread for antiseptics centuries before antibiotics. So, next time you visit a modern doctor, appreciate the sleek, sterile instruments and be glad you're not in ancient Egypt. Number 15. Roman baths. The Romans took their bathing very seriously. They had the ancient version of a luxurious spa with heated floors, steaming rooms, and a bustling social scene, turning it into an art form and a daily ritual. Roman baths were architectural marvels, featuring a series of rooms with varying temperatures. First, you'd visit the frigidarium, a cold room for a brisk dip. Then, you'd warm up in the tepidarium, a lukewarm room, before hitting the caldarium, a hot and steamy sauna-like room. They even had an unctorium where you'd get oiled and massaged. Talk about the ultimate relaxation. The secret to these luxurious baths was the Hypercoost system, an ancient underfloor heating technique that kept the rooms toasty. Hot air from a furnace flowed beneath the floors and up through the walls, creating the perfect climate for a good soak and socializing. But Roman baths were more than just a place for hedonism. They were social hubs. People would gather to gossip, discuss politics, and even strike business deals. It was like a combination of a spa, a gym, and a coffee shop. Number 16. Indian stepwells. These beautifully carved stone structures we know as Indian stepwells are not only functional, but also a marvel of ancient architecture. These ingenious creations, found primarily in the arid regions of India, were designed to collect and store water, turning necessity into art. Stepwells, or baolis and vives, as they're locally known, are essentially inverted temples. They feature a series of steps leading down to the water, making it accessible even during the driest seasons. Some of these wells plunge deep into the earth with cool, shaded corridors that provide a respite from the scorching heat above. But stepwells were more than just practical. They were community hubs, places where people gathered to chat, trade, and perform rituals. The walls of these wells were often intricately carved with beautiful sculptures and motifs, making them a feast for the eyes as well as a lifesaver for the parched. One of the most famous is the Rani Ki Vav in Gujarat, a UNESCO World Heritage Site renowned for its ornate beauty and architectural brilliance. It's like an underground palace dedicated to water. Number 17. Aztec Floating Gardens. A floating farm in the middle of a lake producing lush crops. It is not magic, it's the Aztec Floating Gardens, or Chinampas. These ingenious agricultural plots were the Aztecs' answer to farming in the swampy lake beds of the Valley of Mexico. The Aztecs built rectangular patches of fertile land by weaving sticks together and piling on mud and plant matter. These floating plots were anchored by willow trees, which also provided shade. The result? A highly productive and sustainable farming system that seemed to float on water. The Chinampas were so effective that they could produce up to 7 crops a year, feeding the bustling Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan. These floating gardens were brimming with maize, beans, squash, and even flowers. It's like having a floating supermarket right at your doorstep. Besides being practical, Chinampas were a sight to behold. Canals between the plots allowed canoes to glide through, creating a scenic, watery maze. Number 18. Egyptian glassmaking. The ancient art of Egyptian glassmaking is over 3,500 years old, and its artisans could transform sand into shimmering objects of beauty. The Egyptians were some of the earliest pioneers in this magical craft, turning ordinary materials into extraordinary items. Using a mixture of sand, lime, and soda, ancient Egyptian glassmakers would heat the concoction until it melted into a hot, gooey liquid. Then, they'd skillfully shape it into beads, vessels, and decorative items. It's like the ancient version of blowing bubbles, but with molten glass. Number 19. Norse Longships. Norse Longship were sleek, dragon-headed vessels cutting through the waves, ready to conquer new lands. These ships were the Vikings' ticket to exploration, trade, and of course, a bit of raiding on the side. Norse longships were marvels of engineering designed for speed and agility. Picture a boat that's long, narrow, and shallow, perfect for navigating both open seas and shallow rivers. This meant Vikings could sail up to your town, raid it, and be gone before you even knew what hit you. Talk about an efficient getaway. These ships were built using the clinker method, where wooden planks overlapped each other, making the hull flexible yet sturdy. The long, single mast with a square sail complemented rows of oars, allowing the Vikings to travel great distances from the icy waters of the North Atlantic to the sunny Mediterranean. Each longship was adorned with a fierce dragon or serpent figurehead meant to ward off sea monsters and enemy spirits. Imagine seeing one of these intimidating ships on the horizon. It's no wonder the Vikings were so successful. Number 20. Chinese compass. If you were to find yourself navigating through uncharted territories with nothing but a spoon on a plate, you would have enough tools to make an ancient Chinese compass. This ingenious invention from around the 2nd century BC revolutionized travel and exploration long before GPS was a thing. The earliest Chinese compasses were made using a lodestone, a naturally magnetized rock. Picture a spoon-shaped lodestone balanced on a smooth bronze plate. When allowed to spin freely, the spoon would align itself with the Earth's magnetic field, pointing south. It's like having a magical direction-finding spoon in your pocket. Initially used for feng shui, helping to harmonize buildings and objects with the environment, the compass soon found its way into the hands of sailors and explorers. With this trusty tool, Chinese navigators could venture further than ever before, confidently exploring vast oceans and unknown lands. This simple yet brilliant device paved the way for global exploration. Imagine the excitement of ancient mariners as they set sail, guided by their trusty compass, ready to discover new worlds. So next time you use a map, or your smartphone's GPS, give a nod to the ancient Chinese compass. We've come to the end of today's video. Let us know what are some ancient inventions that you love and find fascinating. Like the video and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one. See you next time.